बोल रहे
गुरु जी सावन में और भी कुछ साधना करते हैं क्या?
नहीं, कोई
अपन
साधना
ये
नहीं करते हैं। हमारी साधना सिर्फ चैतन्य की साधना है।
अच्छा।
बीइंग अवेयर दैट आई एम, दैट्स इट।
ओके। और ये जो अलग अलग अब अलग अलग पूजा आती रहेंगी तो हर उसका रिचुअल से भी अपना कनेक्शन होता है क्या? रिचुअल करने से भी कि खाली मेडिटेशन से भी एनफ है?
अच्छा सवाल है ये। बात ऐसी है।
प्रणाम सर।
हाँ, नमस्कार नानी। बात ऐसी है कि कोई भी चीज जो है वो मीनिंगलेस नहीं है।
हम्म।
तो आप कोई पूजा करते हैं तो उसकी अपनी शक्ति है। मंत्र जप करते हैं तो उसकी अपनी शक्ति है। तीर्थ यात्रा करते हैं, उसकी अपनी शक्ति है।
फास्टिंग भी सब करते हैं इतना।
फास्टिंग जो करते हैं उसका दूसरा विज्ञान है। फास्टिंग को हम उपवास बोलते हैं।
हम्म।
तो उपवास का क्या मतलब है? उप का मतलब है पास रहना, और वास का मतलब है निवास करना। तो उपवास का अर्थ है अपने पास ही रहना, अपने पास पहुंचते जाना। यह है उपवास।
उप का मतलब क्या होता है?
उप का मतलब होता है निकट, पास,
निकट। ओके।
क्लोज। तो उपवास तो ऐसी ऐसा काम करना जिससे कि हम अपने निकट पहुंच जाएं। तो उसका एक बहुत अच्छा तरीका होता है फास्टिंग। क्योंकि हमारी इंद्रियां जो है वो काम कर रही हैं प्राण शक्ति से। प्राण की ऊर्जा कहाँ से आती है? तो खाने से आती है। श्वास
हम्म।
प्रश्वास से आती है, लेकिन भोजन से आती है। सारा
हम्म।
नरिशमेंट उधर से आता है।
हम्म।
तो अगर हम उस नरिशमेंट को कम कर देंगे, कंट्रोल करेंगे, तो क्या होगा कि जो इंद्रियां बाहर भाग रही हैं वो अपने आप अंदर की तरफ मुड़ने लगे। लेकिन
अच्छा।
क्या है, अपने यहाँ जो तरीका है वो सब डिस्टॉर्टेड तरीका है।
हम्म।
तो अभी उपवास तो करेंगे हमारे लोग, लेकिन जब उपवास तोड़ना होगा तो 3 दिन का खाना एक ही दिन खा लेंगे। तो वो उपवास का पर्पस खत्म हो जाता है। तो इसलिए उपवास का मतलब यह है कि इतना ही खाया जाए या इतना कुछ किया जाए। इसलिए उपवास तोड़ने की विधि होती है।
हम्म।
कि जैन लोगों में जब लंबे लंबे समय तक उपवास करते हैं तो उनको कैसे उपवास तोड़ते हैं? तो पहले पानी पिलाया जाएगा, फिर कुछ जूस मिलेगा या कुछ फ्रूट मिलेगा, फिर धीरे धीरे करके जो है वो जाएगा। तो ये पूरा उसका विज्ञान है। तो कोई चीज ऐसे अ, एक अचानक किसी को कोई चीज समझ में आ गई और उसने बता दिया, ऐसा नहीं है। लेकिन उसको समझ करके उसके हिसाब से करना पड़ेगा कि उसका पर्पस क्या है। अगर उसका पर्पस नहीं मीट होता है तो वो बेकार है।
हम्म।
तो इसीलिए मैंने कई बार पहले भी बोला है कि मतलब शंकराचार्य जी का ही एक श्लोक है कहीं पर कि प्रथमा सहजावस्था, द्वितीया ध्यान धारणा, तृतीया पूजा अर्चा, चतुर्था तीर्थ यात्रा।
अच्छा।
तो सब अभ्यास सबको मिलता नहीं है, सबके लिए नहीं है। तो
हम्म।
उसकी योग्यता के अनुसार उसको अभ्यास मिलेगा। तो अभी कुछ नहीं किया है किसी ने किसी जीवन में, तो गुरु उसको क्या बोलेगा? तुम तीर्थ यात्रा करते रहो, हर बरस जाकर तुम बद्रीनाथ केदारनाथ का दर्शन करो, ये करो वो करो। तो क्या होगा उससे? या कोई भी आता है, समय आता है तो ये समय है, ये फलां देवी के मंदिर में बहुत अच्छा अनुष्ठान होता है, वहां जाओ। तो बाहर जाने से क्या होता है, एक तरह की तपस्या है कि अपने रूटीन से बाहर निकल करके कुछ करना। तो ये
एक जो भूमि का वाइब्रेशन से हमारा भी वाइब्रेशन चेंज होता है क्या?
उससे जरूर होता है। तो इसलिए ऐसा जाएंगे तो क्या होगा कि एक तपस्या किस तरह से है कि अपने घर में, अपने बिजनेस में, अपने परिवार में जो रहते हैं तो हमारा आचार विचार व्यवहार सब अलग है, लेकिन बाहर जाते हैं तो उसको तोड़ते हैं,
ब्रेक होते
उससे
रूटीन।
बाहर निकलते हैं। तो किधर खाना मिलेगा कई टाइम पर, किधर नहीं मिलेगा, किधर सोने को मिलेगा किधर नहीं मिलेगा, किधर पानी में भीग जाएंगे, किधर मंदिर में खड़े होंगे, जब हमारा दर्शन का समय आएगा तो पुजारी आकर के वो पर्दा खींच देगा और कहेगा अभी भगवान शयन में गए, तुम बाद में आना। तो फिर जाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि भगवान के आगे तो अपनी कोई अपना अहंकार तो नहीं चलता कि हम इतने बड़े आदमी हैं, हम तुम्हारा दर्शन करने आए हैं, हमको दर्शन दो। तो क्या होगा, इस तो इन सब चीजों से थोड़ा थोड़ा उसके अहंकार पर चोट पड़ेगी। तो ये अहंकार को कम करने का एक तरीका है तीर्थ यात्रा। जब आदमी जग जाता है अंदर से तो उसके लिए तीर्थ यात्रा क्या है, उस स्थान की एनर्जी से कनेक्ट होने का तरीका है। तो किसी सिद्ध स्थान में जाएंगे, थोड़ी देर उधर बैठेंगे, उधर ध्यान करेंगे तो उसकी एनर्जी अलग होती है। कि जैसे आप में से जो लोग उत्तर काशी गए होंगे, वहां पर एक पेड़ है, वट वृक्ष है, जिसके नीचे शंकराचार्य ने तपस्या की थी। तो वो पेड़ अभी भी, उसके नीचे कितनी एनर्जी है। तो ये तीर्थ यात्रा क्या है कि एक उस जगह की एनर्जी से जुड़ने का, लेकिन जिस आदमी को नहीं इसका अनुभव है, जगा हुआ नहीं है अंदर से, उसको तो पेड़ ही दिखेगा और वो जमीन दिखेगी। लेकिन फिर भी वहां जाने में जो उसने श्रम किया है, उत्तर काशी तक जाना, पैदल चलना, ये करना वो करना, उससे धीरे धीरे उसके अहंकार का उसका क्षय होगा। तो अहंकार क्षय होगा तो उसके अंदर कुछ योग्यता बनेगी। तो अगर ऐसी योग्यता बनने लगी तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, गुरु उसको बोलेगा तुम्हारे पड़ोस में मंदिर है, उधर बहुत अच्छी आरती होती, रोज आरती में जाएगा। तो आरती में जाएंगे, उधर बात सुनेंगे, तो क्या होगा, उतनी देर तक हम अब ये जो संसार का प्रपंच है उसमें नहीं पड़ेंगे। सो वील बी सेव्ड फ्रॉम दी vagaries of this world for that limited period of time when the आरती is happening। अब देखा होगा सभी के मंदिर में कहीं गए या कहीं बड़े पवित्र स्थान में जाते हैं तो उतनी देर के मन में शून्य हो जाता है, कुछ रहता नहीं। तो दैट absence of thought is the gift of that place। फिर कभी होगा तो गुरु बोल देगा तुम अपने घर में भगवान की मूर्ति लगाओ, विग्रह लगाओ, उधर पूजा करो, उनको नहलाओ धुलाओ, भगवान से प्रीति करो। तो वो प्रीति करने से क्या होगा, लोग हिंदुइज्म को बहुत क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं कि इसमें मूर्ति पूजा होती है, लेकिन मूर्ति पूजा इसलिए कि फॉर्म ऐसी चीज है जिससे कि हम बड़ी आसानी से अटैच हो सकते। तो मूर्ति पूजा पर से यह जो है उसका तरीका बताया हुआ है कि आपके अंदर अभी योग्यता नहीं है कि जो निराकार है उसके साथ संपर्क स्थापित कर सको, तो जो साकार है उसके साथ तो करो। तो उसको पूजा करना, ये करना, तो धीरे धीरे फिर जिस ईश्वर तो जिस रूप में हम चाहते हैं उस रूप में मिलेगा। तो जिस रूप में जिस भगवान की पूजा करते हैं उसका अनुभव होने लगेगा, उसके गुण हमारे अंदर आने लगेंगे, उसकी योग्यता आने लगेगी। फिर क्या होगा, उसमें एक दिन को गुरु बताएगा कि अभी तुमने ये सब तो किया, ये सब करते हो, लेकिन चुपचाप शांत होकर बैठ जाओ, अपने अंदर ही भगवान को देखो। तो ये जो भक्ति के माध्यम से जो जुड़ना है, अब वो धारणा के माध्यम से जुड़ना हो जाएगा। ये धारणा है कि फोकसिंग आवर अवेयरनेस ऑन समथिंग which is a higher object। So when we focus on something which is higher, which is more powerful, which is noble, then the qualities of that particular object, they start getting transferred inside us. तो उसको अंदर धारणा दृढ़ होने लगेगी। धारणा जब दृढ़ होती है तब एक दिन ध्यान लगता है कि जो हमारा प्रेमी है या जो हम जिससे हम प्रेम करते हैं उसके ऊपर इस तरह से केंद्रित हो जाना कि उसके विचार अलावा कोई दूसरा विचार रहेगा नहीं। तो ये जब बचेगी तो ध्यान होगा। तो ध्यान क्या है? ऐसे अगर ध्यान टेक्निकली पूछेंगे ध्यान क्या है, तो ध्यान इज नथिंग बट कंटिन्यूअस फ्लो ऑफ अवेयरनेस इन वन डायरेक्शन। तो कंटिन्यूअस फ्लो ऑफ अवेयरनेस इन वन डायरेक्शन क्या है? ये हम अपने जीवन में रोज देखते हैं। घर की सफाई करनी, झाड़ू लगाना है, तो अगर बहुत फोकस के साथ करेंगे तो उस दिन उस घर की एनर्जी बदल जाएगी। महिलाएं खाना बनाती हैं, जिस दिन प्रेम से खाना बनाया, बड़े उससे बनाया, उस दिन उस खाने का स्वाद अलग हो जाएगा। तो हमें अनुभव होता है कि कुछ पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, कुछ कर रहे हैं, किसी चीज में डूब गए तो कितने घंटे निकल गए पता नहीं। मैं तो नौकरी में था, हमारा काम था कुछ कुछ ऑर्डर लिखना। कोई कोई ऑर्डर लिखते वक्त ऐसा लगता था कि 4 घंटे 5 घंटे कैसे निकल गए, हम उसी में डूबे हुए हैं। तो ये ध्यान हो जाता है कंप्लीट फ्लो ऑफ अवेयरनेस इन वन डायरेक्शन। तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि अगर वो फ्लो ऑफ अवेयरनेस इन वन डायरेक्शन, अगर हम बाहर की कोई चीज भी देखते रहेंगे अटूट ढंग से, बिना कुछ सोचे विचारे, तो धीरे धीरे क्या होगा, एक समय आएगा कि वो ऑब्जेक्ट जो है वो डिसअपियर हो जाएगा। सो यू आर जस्ट रिजाइडिंग इन योर ओन अवेयरनेस। तो कोई बात नहीं, ओके। So even if you are focusing on something which is very mundane, but if you are truly focused on that object, then what will happen? You will become absorbed in your own nature, जिसको हम बोलते हैं चैतन्यम, आत्मा। तो ये जो चैतन्य है, जो हमारा स्वभाव है, अपना नेचर है, उसको कैसे पाने का है? तो उसको पाने की कला है कंसंट्रेशन। तो जितना कंसंट्रेशन होगा उतना ही जल्दी हम उसको अपने अंदर पा सकेंगे, मिल जाएगा। लेकिन वो कंसंट्रेशन कैसे करना है? तो उसके लिए क्या चाहिए कि प्रेम से करना है। लोग बहुत से होते हैं जो हर चीज को एक एक्शन प्लान बनाते हैं कि आई एम गोइंग टू डू इट। तो द मोमेंट यू पुट योर ओन सेंस ऑफ डूअरशिप in that action, it becomes an exercise. It should be natural. Then when there is a natural flow of awareness in one direction, continuous, then at some point the object is going to disappear and only the sense of I am will remain. बहुत ज्यादा आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे तो क्या होता है कि जैसे फूल देख रहे हैं, तो अगर फूल के साथ तादात्म्य बन गया, हार्मनी डेवलप हो गई, तो हमारा जो तरीका है वो फूल का तरीका हो जाएगा। हमारा जो देखना है, हमारे शब्द हैं, हमारा जो स्पर्श है, उसमें वो उस फूल का गुण आने लगे। ये ब्यूटी है फोकस की। तो ऐसे करते करते धीरे धीरे हमारे अंदर से चेंज हो गया। और पूरी तरह से जिस दिन एकदम अनब्रोकन फ्लो ऑफ अवेयरनेस हो गया बाहर की तरफ भी, तो धीरे धीरे वो फुल डिसअपियर हो जाएगा, कुछ नहीं रहेगा, सिर्फ हमारा अपना एहसास रह जाता, जस्ट द फीलिंग आई एम, एंड दिस इज द बेस्ट स्टेट टू बी इन। तो इसलिए ऐसा है कि कोई भी तरीका छोटा नहीं है और कोई भी तरीका बड़ा नहीं है। हमारे लिए आज क्या तरीका काम आने वाला है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो इसलिए जो मेडिटेटर्स होते हैं या जो लोग अच्छे साधक होते हैं वो क्या करते हैं, वो तो बैठ कर देखता है कि आज क्या कर सकते हैं, कौन सी चीज ऐसी है जो करने में हम प्रेम के साथ कर सकेंगे और उसे हम एंजॉय करेंगे। तो मन में आया तो उस दिन वो स्तोत्र का पाठ करेगा, उस दिन ध्यान करेगा, तो घूमने चला जाएगा, नेचर में जाएगा, जैसा कुछ होगा वो ट्रायल एंड एरर से पता कर सकते हैं हम कि आज के दिन हमारे लिए क्या चीज उपयोगी है और वो करना चाहिए। तो इट इज मिस्टीरियस एंड दैट इज व्हाई इट इज सेड इट इज अ मैटर ऑफ ग्रेस। वी कैनॉट डिक्टेट to the divine that look, I am so deserving and you have to give me the experience today. Then forget about it, because this very intention is an intention born out of ego. कोई डिफरेंस है ही नहीं, हमारे और ईश्वर में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं है। तो जो है नहीं डिफरेंस उसको कैसे जानेंगे? तो जब तक हम सोचते हैं कि मैं हूं और मुझे कुछ जानना है, तो बाधा तो यहीं खड़ी हो गई। इसीलिए शिव सूत्र में क्या कहा है, सेकंड सूत्र, ज्ञानम बंध योनि वर्ग कला शरीरम, कि जो तुम सोचते हो कि मैं ये करने वाला हूं वो बंधन हो गया, डिफरेंशिएटेड फॉर्म पैदा हो गया, बिकॉज यू थिंक दैट आई एम समबडी एल्स एंड आई हैव टू बिकम समथिंग एल्स। सो दैट मस्ट गो। And how will that go? Only when we are able to pursue anything, any practice with great love. As long as love is not there, the intention is to gain something, to get out something out. It is not going to give that result which you desire. It is like, when you are intimate with somebody, so a friendship may be born out of some sense of liking or disliking or whatever. Or maybe there is something which completes you. Either your friend or your beloved has something that completes you. But when the intimacy has really developed, then there is nothing to gain and nothing to be, nothing to give. Just being in the company of the loved one is satisfying. So what is that being? So you find the company of God as if you are in the company of the beloved. So there is no giving and there is no receiving, there is just being. And in that being there is a merger. जैसे ध्यान में हम क्या करते हैं, जो ध्यान का ऑब्जेक्ट होता है उसके साथ मर्ज हो जाते हैं। जो अच्छा लगता है, कोई नोबल आदमी है, उसके ऊपर बार बार ध्यान करते हैं, अपने गुरु के ऊपर बार बार ध्यान करते हैं, तो गुरु ही हमारे अंदर उतर आता है। तो इस तरह से है कि ईश्वर के साथ भी ऐसे ही रहने का ये रहस्यमय है। लेकिन होता क्या है, संसार ऐसा सिखाता है, हमारे माँ बाप ऐसी ट्रेनिंग देते हैं कि हम सोचते हैं हमको कुछ पाना है। So the very thought that I have to get something and I have to add something to my personality, because this world recognizes some these additions. What degrees do you have? What is your position in society? How many cars do you have? How many houses do you have? Where you are placed, how many followers do you have? So the world recognizes by these attributes. So what happens that since the child or a baby is born, we start putting that kind of input into the mind of the baby. You have to become something. And because this whole process is ingrained, then by the time a person becomes mature, he has lost the desire to be, because this life becomes a complete search for completion. Because a person feels that he is a beggar, he has to add something, he has to get something more to make himself relevant or herself relevant in life. But the fact of the matter is that this perfection, the completeness already lies within. So we miss that point. So that is why the primary requisite is love. So even if we are doing some spiritual practice, if there is love, then it will become more helpful. And it will not allow you to become dry. There are a lot of people who get into a lot of teaching or studying the teachings and doing a lot of meditation. But meditation by itself gives a lot of heat. It can turn you dry from within. And when you are dry, sometimes you lose compassion for yourself. Many of us are senior citizens. Our bodies are not that strong. But we start comparing ourselves with a yogi who can stand on 1 foot and do tapasya for a long time. What will happen? We have missed the point. You don't have to stand on 1 foot and do tapasya because God is right here. Just look within with love and you can feel the presence because that presence is always there. So the very thought that there is something else that I have to find out, I have to gain, that takes us away. And that is where the differentiation, Jnanam Bandha, we think, oh, I am a man, I am a woman. Okay, I shared one day that, in one of the sessions I told people, I put them on the screen and said, okay, you tell one another, I love you. And one person who has been meditating for 20 years, he said, I cannot do this because you have put another woman here. So what is the point? After 20 years of meditation, you still see a woman. Then there is something wrong. There is a very famous story. Gyaneshwar Maharaj is a reality. He and three of his brothers, two other brothers and one sister, Muktabai, they were all children. Parents had died. They were living in great hardships. But all four of them were masters since childhood. And because they were teaching something which was not in accordance with the traditional teaching. They were lived in Pune, which was the seat of, Brahminical empire. Very erudite Brahmins. But look what happens. A Brahmin was beating a buffalo and the buffalo was crying for help. And Gyaneshwar Maharaj told this man that, look, why are you beating this animal? God has chosen to live inside her as her. And this arrogant Brahmin told him that, you say God is living inside her? Can she recite Vedas? And he said, yes, if God wants, she will do that. And the buffalo spoke out and Vedic riches started coming out of its mouth. There is another famous story. There was one great Brahmin scholar who was very arrogant and he thought he knew so much. And he came to challenge these children for a Shastrarth. And they used to live in a small hut. The three brothers were not there and Muktabai was having her bath inside the hut. And this fellow was so much focused on just finding somebody to challenge. Without doing anything, without announcing, he just walked into that hut. And Muktabai was having her bath. She was scantily dressed. And the moment he looked at her, he felt ashamed. And without uttering a word, he turned around and started walking out of the hut. And she called out and said, "You claim to be the knower of the truth, and all that you saw is this body?" Now it was all his arrogance, all his false knowledge dropped in one instant. He became realized. And he turned around, came back to the hut, and bowed down to Muktabai. So this is what happens. We have all collected a lot of garbage in the sense of some terms of what we think we are, who we think we are, what is our tradition, what is our culture, what is our nationality, what is our role in life. But who has given all these things to us? And is it true? Today we may be born in a family of, say, most of us are Hindus, I think Sanovar is a Parsi. But if we were born in another tradition, another culture, another religion, we would have happily accepted that religion. And we said, oh, I am a proud owner of this religion or follower of this religion. And how do we know that in the past life we were in the same religion? Or in the future life we would be in the same religion? So it is like this, that and whatever we hate, God really puts us in that form, in that environment, to experience what it is like to have that form. So people who are this, hate mongers, they will land up in those places and discover the lesson of love. And it is love alone, because you just go back to your own experience. Anyway, everybody has, loved somebody or the other from the very core of their being. When that love sprouts, see what happens. Are you still conscious of your own limited self? No. Just being is fulfilling. And because all sense of incompleteness is gone, it is love that makes you complete. So when it is with love that you pursue any practice, that practice becomes useful. So whatever is you feel like doing, you do. You want to go to Tirth Yatra, you do the Tirth Yatra, you want to chant, you want to do pujas. Pujas are very powerful. I never thought, I was a rationalist. So I was very much against all pujas. But one day, when I had started going to my ashram, the Guru's ashram, one Sunday morning when we went there, my favorite place was a place where I used to, in an office where I used to do translations. I used to translate articles written in English into Hindi for the Hindi magazine that the ashram was printing. So I was doing that work. No, in the beginning itself, I think somebody told us that there is a, Guru Mai has asked all people, all Bombayites to go to a puja, because there is a puja of the ashram ambulance or the ashram medical van, which takes care of about 100 villages around the ashram. I was never interested in any puja whatsoever. So I said, it is waste of time. I will spend 2 hours doing some translation work. So I went to the office. The lady who was in charge of that office, this office was open, she came and she said, look, today you need not do this kind of seva. You go to the place of puja. I didn't go. She walked out. She thought I will go, but I didn't go. After about an hour, she came back and she still found me sitting there translating. And she got very annoyed. She said, "It is the Guru's order that everybody should go to the puja. Why are you sitting here?" And she just threw me out of that place and locked the door so that I don't get a chance to go back in and sit there. So finally, I went to the puja. There was some delay in the puja, so it was just starting. For the first time in my life, I had a tangible experience of the presence of God in that puja. And the love with which this great Brahmin priest, he invited the gods and he created this space for puja and he did the puja, and the love with which he really sent them back, thanked them. I could feel that, if God is to be present anywhere, he or she must be here. And there's so much energy. The whole place was vibrating with energy. This was my first experience, a tangible experience of the power of puja. I still don't do any puja. But I have great respect for puja because I know that it is something very powerful. But why is it powerful? Because it was a great priest doing that puja and he did it with so much of love, so much of dedication. Every single aspect of the puja he explained. Why is he doing this? What is the significance? And it was absolutely wonderful. And I had the experience of yagna. What kind of power and energy is created when there is a fire ritual happening? All this happened in the ashram. So these ideas that I had, some of the people who call themselves rationalists or intellectuals, they have these ideas that these are useless things. No, nothing is useless. Nothing is useless. And I and my wife, we went to Badrinath and Kedarnath once. I mean, all the four places. Gangotri, Yamunotri, Badri Kedar and Gomukh also. Now the experience we had was that we didn't do any pujas there. Because when people go to these places, there is always a rush that you go and book your puja, so the next morning you can do that. We didn't book any pujas, we didn't do any pujas. But every place, when we stood at the door of the temple, just for an ordinary darshan, we both would break down and cry. And the predominant thought would be that if we are to leave our bodies and go, if death has to come, this is the time, and there will be no regrets. So this happened, this was 1996. This happened. At some point, this thought arose that we had gone there. All those pujas were not costly pujas, just a few hundred rupees. And we were not so poor that we could not do those pujas. We didn't do it. So the thought came, the question came that is it going to happen this way that at some point of time we are going to have this regret that we didn't do it? We went there and we didn't do it. And I asked this question to Professor Mungle, the saint in Kolhapur. And he looked at me, closed his eyes, and he said, "Oh, you guys used to cry before each temple. At all the places it happened." So I said, "Yes." Then he said, "Your puja was received. Your presence was acknowledged." So, and then he said, you may have done all this in previous lives. You've done many pujas. So this desire to do puja was not there. But the experience was there. After all, why should you do puja? You want to get some nearness to the divine presence there. So you already had that feeling of the divine presence and a sense of fulfillment. So it was not needed. So don't have this thought. So again, I mean, assimilating all these experiences, what I realize is that everything that boils down to only one thing: love. When there is great love, so anything you do, it becomes puja. So no matter what happens, so don't have any ideas. That is also what is most important. You don't have any ideas that this is good and this is not good. Because if you have these ideas, then someday God will teach you something where you will understand that my understanding was wrong. Like I attended that puja for the Ashram Mobile Hospital, the van, and I realized that all this thought I had, this intellectual bullshit I had, that puja is no good, it is meant for people who are not good enough, this is wrong. So everything is good. So no matter what comes up, because that Chaitanya, we say Chaitanya Mahatma, that Chaitanya is present in everything. And everything is a means of connecting with that Chaitanya, with that awareness, that pulsating energy. So if we do it with great love, we can really connect with it. And our lives are going to change. People who have bias, they are prolonging their journey. So when you live with a bias that this particular system is good, this is not good, then what happens that you are prolonging your journey simply because at some point of time this existence has to conspire to give you that experience that you were not correct in having this thought or this belief system. That is why we always say that in spirituality, not having a belief system is the best thing. The moment you have a belief system, you are creating a barrier. What belief system can take you to God when God is present everywhere? When God is listening through you right in this moment. So you may have believed in X system or you may believe in Y system. But the senses are receiving these words and transmitting them to you. You are hearing them. That is the divine presence. And that is why, again, coming back to, people would go and ask questions to Raman Maharshi, and he would simply say, go and think, go and find out who is asking this question through you. So this is it. So there is no difference. It is the Leela, it is the divine play that God has become this finite form. And this finite form, because it thinks that it is not complete, it is looking for some completion and it starts looking for God at some point of time. So we must understand this. So no matter what comes up, if you are into rituals, do those rituals, but do those rituals with great love. Then those rituals will come alive. Mungle sir told me that he was born in a Brahmin family and he used to do his pujas every day. But one night in a dream, his guru appeared. He had never met his guru. The guru appeared, gave him a mantra and touched him. And the next morning when he got up and he started doing the same puja, that puja became alive. It has been transformed. Because there was an inner awakening that has been imparted, the puja became it was a living ritual. It was not a ritual, it was a living thing, which he understood that something has changed. And that is why he started looking for this master. And he saw that the master's photograph was hung in many restaurants or many homes, and he asked people, "Who is this man?" They said, "Oh, he is the guru from Ratnagiri." So he finally went to see the master, and the master told him, "Why have you come here? I have come to your house to give you everything. So you just go back home and do whatever you have to do. Your Diksha is complete." So it is like this, that when we have done this, with great love, something we have done, then ultimately what happens is that a time comes when that threshold is crossed and the Guru enters our life. So after that, everything begins to change. Because whatever the Guru gives, whatever practice the Guru gives, that becomes the paramount thing. And it changes, it transforms the life. And again, sometimes people think that you have a Guru, then you become part of a panth or a system or a tradition or this and that. But fact of the matter is that the Guru is beyond all this. And the Guru is not interested in making disciples and keeping them chained to his seat or her seat. The Guru wants to make Gurus only. So again, people who are caught up in the belief system or this, okay, I belong to this Guru, I belong to this tradition, they remain bound to that tradition. And they are simply prolonging their journey because it takes time for them to ultimately realize that when enlightenment happens, you don't belong to any path. When you climb a mountain, you go to Mountain Everest and we have reached the top of the Everest. So the path is gone. You are there at the top. That experience is the same for everyone. This is why there is always this emphasis that you have to follow a path to reach somewhere, but understand that it is only the path. It is not the real thing. So to go to a hill station, you have to take a vehicle. It is a flight. You go by train, you go by bus, you go by your own car. But if you really want to enjoy the place, you have to get out of that vehicle. So if you keep sitting, you go to Kashmir and you keep sitting in your car, you can't enjoy anything. So the path or the tradition is like your vehicle. So you have the vehicle, it has its use. It is wonderful. But if you are overly attached to that vehicle, then some master will come and hit you with a stick to make you aware. There is this famous story of Tukaram Maharaj, perhaps. He would sing and gods will appear and dance around him. But there was a big gathering of saints. And a question arose that it was in a crude language, it was said, which wares or which ghadas are baked, fully baked. So Gyaneshwar Maharaj or somebody took a stick and started hitting people's heads with that stick, and he would say, "Oh, this is fully baked." And Namdev Maharaj, thank you, Amar. Namdev Maharaj, this is fully baked. This is not baked. This is kacha. So when it came to the turn of Namdev, he hit and said, "Ye kacha hai." It was very, very surprised. He was shocked. How is it that when I sing, these gods appear, dance? अरे कच्चा है, कैसे है कच्चा? So somebody told him that, okay, you want to receive some instruction, you go to this Gora Kumbhar. So he went in search of Gora Kumbhar, found his place, asked people around. They told him, go to that Shiva temple, he may be there. So he walked into the Shiva temple and he found that Gora Kumbhar is lying on the ground and he has put both his legs on the Shivling. He was outraged. This fellow is so audacious, he's put his feet on the Shivling. So he went and he started to talk to him. The fellow would not open his eyes. So he was shaking him and he said, what are you doing? This is sacrilege. And this old man said, okay, son, I am too old. You remove my feet from there, put them elsewhere. Vishobha Kecha, oh, I'm sorry, आज मेरे सब names are, that was Vishobha Kecha. So he took his feet out and put them elsewhere, and wherever he would put the foot of Vishobha Kecha, a new Shivling will come up. And then he realized that he had missed the point, because God is present everywhere. The very idea that God is present only in the Shivling, this is a sacred thing. This itself is a barrier to enlightenment. So this is what happens when we are caught up in some kind of these belief systems or tendencies. Then in some cases where God is very compassionate, God creates these situations where these belief systems are washed away. But there are sometimes people who, in their belief systems, they commit some very harsh acts. So in their cases, the existence has to act in a fashion that they receive harsh lessons to understand the truth. So this is how it goes. Any question? आज तो अपना रह गया जो बताने वाले थे.
फिर जो हम लोग के धर्म में ना क्या, फिर गणेश जी की पूजा आ जाएंगी, फिर उनका रिचुअल्स करते हैं, फिर दुर्गा जी का आ जाएगा, तो बार बार कैसे फोकस करें उसको?
नहीं, प्रेम से करो. जो करना है बहुत प्रेम से करो. हर एक के पीछे जो रिचुअल के पीछे कोई कहानी है, पुराणों में बहुत सारी चीजें दी हुई हैं, तो उसको समझने की कोशिश करो कि एनर्जी के लेवल पर, at the energetic level, what is the significance? So you look at Ganesh. He is the deity of Muladhara. Now for any energy to rise, if you are operating through any of the chakras, you have to start with Muladhara. So Ganesh, you always pray to Ganesh at the beginning of everything. You want to do anything auspicious, you pray to Ganesh, you invite Ganesh. So this is because he is the deity of the Muladhara. So that is how it begins. So once you understand, then the Navaratri comes. Each Devi has a significance. So when you are just doing it because there is a tradition to do, is one thing. But you do it with the understanding that I am inviting this particular Devi, this particular power to manifest in my life, then it becomes a totally different thing. So it is your choice. If you have to do it with the understanding. Otherwise, just not doing anything is also fine. Because what happens is that if somebody is doing something without any understanding, then ठीक है, he or she may feel happy. I have been the traditionalist. I have done what my family had taught me, what is prevalent. But how much a transformation has happened through that, that is something to be judged. Because the purpose of every single thing we do is to have transformation. So is it transforming me? Have I really grown in awareness through this particular ritual? If that is so, then it is worthwhile. If that is not so, then there is something that needs to be done. So that I don't criticize anything, but you should have your antennas up all the time and sense the energy of the action and see the result. How is my life transforming? There are people who do this Navratri pujas with great love, and there is tremendous energy that they feel in their lives. Their lives begin to change. So it is like this, that nothing is without energy, but we must know how to harness the energy of that particular puja. That is important. Anything else? Umaji, are you there? Umaji, would you like to share something from your experience of chanting the Dabe Ju?
Okay.
And just let me give a little preface to what I'm asking you to do. Umaji follows the teachings of Master Shaw, Dr. Z. Gang Shaw. And one of the things that, there is in their tradition, there is a lot of emphasis on chanting. And there is this mantra, great mantra, Dabe Ju, which is the mantra of the Devi. She is the goddess of compassion. And Umaji has been leading chanting groups doing this chanting. So it is chanting. For somebody, it may look like, what are they doing? That repeating these chants day after day after day. But this has really worked wonders with the lives of so many people. So perhaps Umaji can share something out of it.
Yeah, sorry. My throat is a little offbeat today.
That's all right.
So, yes, Mother Guardian, she is the goddess of compassion, and she had taken a vow that she will not become a Buddha till she is able to take care of the cries of every sentient being. She will remain to be a Bodhisattva. So what we do is we chant this name. It's called the Dabejo mantra, wherein every line is the name, because she's got 87 Buddhas with her. So every line is the name of a Buddha. And we chant this mantra every day, no doubt. And there are times when we chant it 49 times together. It is, maybe if you compare it, like when we do the Rudra 21 times, 11 times, whatever we do, same way we do it 49 times. But every time you chant Dabejo, it really opens you up. There is something that happens deep within. You can feel her presence. You really feel, that when you say she has those 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes, you can feel it. You can really I think when you just chant it, you feel that this mother who is there with you, the mother who gave birth. As a child, how the child feels the comfort of the mother around. That is the comfort that you feel. You feel so sure that nothing can hurt you, harm you. You're so well protected. Maybe I would like to share Master Shah's chanting of the mantra. Is it okay? But it will take a long time.
It will take a long time, but we will do it next session.
Sure,
Positive.
definitely.
And what I can do, Master Uma, is that next time you do this 49 chants, I can share the link. So these people can join and they can experience what happens when you listen to this chant for, say, 49 times. It takes about 2 hours. So those who really want to experience it, they will have to invest 2 hours
We do it every Amavasya and every Purnima.
every Purnima.
I'm sure
Okay.
Shailaji would love to share more about
That is why I have pinned her there.
Yes, Shailaji.
Yeah, for me, it has been a very transforming practice of chanting the Dabeju. In the beginning, I have been doing this since around a year at least, and I began to do it. It's in Chinese, so it is difficult to learn and pronounce the words and pronunciations. It's only Master Uma's, nudging and guidance and giving the self-confidence that you can do it, that I began doing this. And the more I did, the first time when I chanted this chant, the goddess became so alive, and it was as if she had entered me and we were one and chanting it. She was chanting it through me. So this powerful. And then there have been experiences again and again, simply without understanding. You don't know what you're chanting, but the pronunciation, the very act of chanting, brings that love and the presence of compassion. That compassion starts flowing into you. And now it's like so much a part of me that it's, you have to experience, at least listening to do it. And I think I'm sure many of you all will also be able to know the beauty, the power, and the transforming love that comes through this chant.
Yeah, I would like to add that, there was this question that many people asked. We have so many chantings in our traditions. We have the Saundarya Lahari, Devi, Mahatmya, but so much. Why do you need something more now, like this? So it is that Guanyin has been given the task by heaven to serve humanity at this time. So that is why at this time this mantra has become so much more powerful. See, even heaven has its own tasks. So they are all the gods and goddesses have also got their own targets to be met. You can say that. So it is Guanyin's target now. It's her. She has been given this divine task that she has to be with us. So when you call out to her, she's there. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Umaji. And I think next Wednesday when we do it, then instead of doing today I think I went off track and whatever the teaching was to be taken up, that has remained. So what we will do is that in the beginning, instead of doing the normal invocation, we will play Master Shah's the Dabeju in Master Shah's voice, and then we take the session. So thank you so much. I just wanted to, I brought you in there because I just wanted people to understand the power of, these practices. So this is not, nothing is ordinary. But if pure intention is brought into that practice, then the power starts manifesting. So thank you so much, Maharaj. It is always such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. So I think we have gone to the end of the session.
नमस्कार गुरुजी।
हाँ लज्जा जी।
बहुत अच्छा सेशन था, बहुत ही अच्छा। We got to know so much, though everything was simple and general, but then we got a lot of information. बहुत अच्छे से बताया आपने सब कुछ। थैंक यू फॉर दैट।
Okay, thank you.
मैं आज 1 मिनट बात करूं मैं?
हाँ बोलिए।
हाँ, ओके। मैं अभी 24 बरस से गुरु को राखी बांधती हूँ, तो आज उस दिन नहीं हुआ, तो आज गई थी मैं।
See, let us keep the personal things aside.
ओके
Yeah.
ओके।
Thank you. Aarti, you want to say something?
हाँ यस कि इष्ट इष्ट देव कैसे पता चलता है कि कौन से हमारे इष्ट? अक्सर पूजा कराते उसमें पंडित जी कहते अपने इष्ट देव का स्मरण करिए।
वो मुझे नहीं मालूम, जो चीज नहीं मालूम
हाँ
सच बोल देता हूँ, मुझे नहीं मालूम। तो जो आपको
पं-
प्रिय हो उसका उसकी पूजा करिए,
हाँ
तो वही इष्ट देव हो जाएंगे। Because you see, God is available in every form.
जी
So whatever you feel, whatever form you feel closer to, do that. बट ऐसा एस्ट्रोलॉजिकली जो है वो हॉरोस्कोप से इष्ट देव निकालते हैं, लेकिन वो अभी मुझे नहीं उसका आइडिया। ठीक है।
लेकिन किसी किसी भगवान से ज्यादा प्यार, मतलब ज्यादा क्लोजनेस
जिससे
लगती है।
प्यार हो, ज्यादा कम
जैसे
नहीं होता है, जिससे प्यार हो उसको करिए, और अगर सच्ची भक्ति करेंगे तो वो भगवान आपको आपका जो इष्ट देव होगा उस तक पहुंचा देंगे।
जी
तो ये है ना,
तो इसमें दिमाग न लगाए जाता।
नहीं ये सब फालतू का दिमाग है।
हाँ
दिस इज इंटेलेक्चुअल क्वेश्चन,
जी
so there is no room for any intellectualism
नहीं,
in.
वो पंडित जी जब पूजा एक कराने आए थे तो वो कर रहे थे। अब आप लोग अपने 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 इष्ट देव का
हाँ,
ध्यान
तो जो
करिए।
आपका मन में हो आ जाए उस वक्त ध्यान कर लीजिए, वही।
जी
May I add one
हाँ
sentence?
जी बोलोगे।
हाँ, तो there are दो चीजें होती है, कुल देव और इष्ट देव।
हाँ
तो कुल देव इज व्हाट द फैमिली ट्रेडिशन में जो भी माना जाता है कि है हमारे कुल देव है, और इष्ट देव इज कि जिस देवी देवता जो भी हो जिससे भी हमें पर्सनली बहुत क्लोजनेस फील होती है और ये हमारे हो जाते हैं। दिस इज माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड व्हाट आई थैंक
थैंक यू। अंजू, you want to give the
सर
astrologer's perspective?
सर एस्ट्रोलॉजी में 5th हाउस का जो भी लॉर्ड है, जो भी वहाँ पे ज़ोडिएक साइन है, उसका जो लॉर्ड है वही हमारा इष्ट देव बनता है।
इष्ट देव होगा। चलो, गुड, थैंक यू। So we didn't do the opening mantras. So let us end with this. क्योंकि आज बहुत सारी बातें की हैं कि अपना कोई बिलीफ सिस्टम नहीं होना चाहिए, तो मुझे ये सबसे अच्छा लगता है। आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामतिः सहचराः प्राणा शरीरं गृहम् पूजाते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः संचारः पदयो प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यद्यत् कर्म करोमि तत्तदखिलम् शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरणकृतं वाक् कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा पराधम् विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतत् क्षमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शंभो सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।